Hey, it's TCSN Live. We've been out for a couple months, but we're back for another quick season. And we're going to go around and introduce ourselves. I'm Adam Prine. I'm from Oregon. Pass it on.
Josh. I'm Erica Graham. I'm from New York.
There we go.
I'm Jocelyn Weber. I'm from Key West, Florida.
And Josh. Josh? We lost Josh. Okay. That's Josh from New York. And we're going to get him right back on here.
We're going to try.
Yeah, we're going to try. We've been having some technical difficulties. We used the Be Live TV app, and I just turned it on today, and it was totally renewed. They redid it. So I don't know where anything is. It looks like it's going to be really a lot nicer and easier to use. It looks super cool, but everything's in different spots. So it's going to take me a minute here to get used to that.
Hopefully.
And I don't know what happened to Josh all of a sudden. All right, so we're gonna talk about. I want to see if we can get Josh back on.
Yeah, try to get him back on.
Okay. We're going to talk about the impeachment, and we're going to talk about the presidential elections. He is going to join us. Well, we can start it with impeachment. So I don't know everything about the impeachment. I was listening to 60 Minutes today, and I also did a little bit of research. And I know that what's happening is President Trump supposedly called the president of Ukraine, who is Volodymyr Zelensky. Sounds like Voldemort, but it's like Volodymyr Zelensky. So I looked into him. Go ahead. What did you say?
That I've been calling him President Z.
President Z. What do you think about him?
What do I think of President Z? I mean, I don't know much about the guy. I know what's been on with the whistleblower story though, and how they've been trying to spin it or failing to spin it, as it were. So what happened was basically Trump called the president of Ukraine. He cut off he cut off $400 million worth of aid to Ukraine, and then either President Z either called Trump or Trump called President Z, but they shared a phone call in which a desperate Pres Z asked Trump basically to continue the aid, saying that, President Trump said, sorry.
Is that right? Go ahead.
Have we got, okay. So Trump says to the president, all right, so we've been doing a lot of stuff for you. We've been giving you a lot of aid, but you haven't reciprocated. We'd like you to investigate Hunter Biden and Joe Biden and all that stuff that's been going on over there. And President Z, who's desperate to get aid back to Ukraine, which was I guess some kind of arms deal, says, yes, sir, we'll do whatever you say, sir. Please call us more, sir. He's really sucking it up big time because he really needs this money, whatever, call it patriotic if you want to. And then Trump goes at the end of the conversation, all right, I predict your economy will be doing much better now. And so first of all, to solicit aid at all from a foreign government is illegal. It's what he was investigated for with Russiagate, except that they didn't have enough evidence to prove that Trump was involved or that he was, really asking for aid. Even though he announced on live TV, there was some kind of gray area that people were able to find to make it so that it would be hard to impeach him on that. But this is just blatantly Trump it's as if Trump went to Putin and said, give me the emails directly on a phone call, and if he was the president. So there's just no gray area. And then after that, he took the phone call, the recording of the phone call, or the transcript, and he hid it in a private server, abusing the powers of security granted to him as president. And it turns out.
Well, one thing is he didn't do. What I heard was somebody else did that, not Trump, like one of his staff members.
Yes. Somebody. I don't think Trump knows how to use a computer.
Right.
Exactly. Or he doesn't even really know how to use Twitter. So.
And then the other thing I wonder is, I want to backtrack a little bit here. So, and then we'll talk about Biden and stuff, but I want to talk about the Baltimore Zelensky guy. So I'm pretty amazed about what I learned about him. He rose out of presidency. He's never been in politics in his life. He's a total populist. They elected him just like Trump was elected, or Bernie would be elected. Oh no, Bernie's been in politics his whole life. This guy used to be on a TV program. He was actually, this is crazy. He was on a sitcom. And the sitcom was called Servant to the People. And he was playing the role of a man who rose up and became president.
Huh. I think I heard about that on the news today. I was listening to NPR. I think I heard
it sounds to me. Now, half the country thinks he's a populist and they all say he's going to be great. And the other half of the country says he's working for the oligarchy. And the owner of that news station and him have a conspiracy together. I'm like, that rings a bell. It sounds like Trump and Fox News over here.
I was going to say.
What the hell? They got the same thing going on. The only difference is I was tending to believe this guy looks to be a little bit nicer and more of a people person. I've only learned about him today, though. But he didn't seem like he was bad. Now, I saw an interview of Trump and him on Fox News.
Nice for, however long it takes to be on TV. That's what politicians are good at, is being nice to people when they have to be.
Right. That's true. I don't know for him from anything. So who knows? But when I saw him on TV, he looked very nervous. He was begging, and he is begging. His country is about to be steamrolled over by Russia. So he needs those weapons. And he did say something. He said, Obama, I don't know if you guys saw the interview with Trump and him on Fox News, but he says, Obama didn't help us, but you did. You will. Trump's playing this.
You want to know what the funniest thing I think of all this is, right? Is the White House released the transcript themselves, right? Trump said this is a beautiful conversation. We had a great conversation. I loved it. President Zelensky just loves me, and you know why? Is because President Zelensky was desperate.
And his country needs help.
He said something along the lines of, so that the conversation opened up, right, with Donald Trump saying, so I heard that you just won your election and you were quite an underdog. You came out of nowhere, which, is what you were talking about, right? And President Zelensky, I kid you not, says, yeah, we took our cues from you, Mr. Trump. We're very inspired by you. And you know what? That's the reason Trump released this transcript, even though it was incriminating. He doesn't think of it as a beautiful conversation in which the president of this other country just told everybody how much he loves me. He got sucking up and he thought it was real. And he was like, yeah, tell the whole world.
Tell the whole world. That's how concerned he is with his ratings, and
that is pretty.
He doesn't even realize.
You can tell. You can just hear the sucking up dripping out of Zelensky's text.
He's desperate. I felt bad for the guy. I did. When I saw him, I was like, and why aren't we helping Ukraine? Do you know, Josh? Why didn't Obama help Ukraine?
All right. Well, okay. So I just actually want to touch on that. I mean, that's a good question, but I actually wanted to touch on a few things that you guys had said. I'm actually opposed to the impeachment of Donald Trump. Let me explain why a little bit. Well, first of all, I don't think it's the issue itself is quite substantive enough. If they were trying to impeach Trump on the emoluments clause, violating campaign finance or something more substantive of that nature, I think that I would be far more understanding to impeachment. But as now, I think it's a way for the establishment Democrats to essentially attack Trump without having to attack him on policy substance. And I mean, the 106-16 treaty, I believe, actually says that the United States and Ukraine can work together on criminal matters together on that. And I think I think it seemed that bad. I think the Biden thing, the corruption around the Biden thing with Ukraine is arguably worse than what even Trump did. And do I agree with Trump asking the Ukraine for dirt on his political enemies? No, I don't agree with that. But at the same time, the dirt is there. I mean, in the same way that what Russia did was that arguably, what Russia allegedly did, was that arguably bad? Yes, but the information we learned from it was far worse. So I don't think that Trump should be in. I think that you should spend your. There's a lot of bad. I'm not a fan of Trump at all. He's a right-wing fascist, and I think that you should put your political capital, and I think you should put your time into the election that's like, what, 20 minutes away, where you get a principled populist left progressive like Bernie Sanders on the ticket, and you win in a landslide, and you get Trump out of office that way.
Okay, then what would you say?
Sorry, but can I just finish my thought really quick?
Yeah, go ahead.
I'm sorry. I think the impeachment process will only help Trump, as it will. It'll essentially, what it'll do is it'll give Trump a boost in popularity. So what you'll get is the establishment Democrats attacking Donald Trump and pushing this impeachment process, and it will 100% fail in the Republican-filled Senate. And because they're narrowing it down to this one thing of Ukraine, asking the Ukraine for dirt on Joe Biden, your political enemy. That's arguably, it's bad, but it's arguably not even illegal. So it might not make it through. And so what I think is actually going to happen, what will ultimately happen, is Donald Trump will not be impeached because it won't get through the Senate. And when that happens, you're not going to get apolitical and undecided people to essentially, be watching every moment of the impeachment proceedings. What you're going to get is the sound bites and the headlines, and they're going to have, and the media is going to be forced to write the headlines, Donald Trump impeachment fails. And the people are going to read that and go, oh, I guess he was innocent. And they're going to hear the sound bites of Donald Trump saying something along the lines of like, oh, the Democratic Party, baseless, he's going to use his famous witch hunt thing as he did during the Russiagate. And I think it's going to boost his popularity and help him win re-election in 2020.
I agree.
Okay. What do you do? Jocelyn, you want to answer that? Should say something there?
Well, okay. So, there was a lot of points that we'd have to touch on. So I'm going to start with, I think you mentioned that it's arguably not illegal.
Based on that treaty, I don't think it might be.
Well, when it comes down to it, I mean, and even the people on Fox News are admitting that it's illegal. They're trying to say quid pro quo this or that. There doesn't need to be the extortion.
But the people on Fox News, I mean, okay,
go ahead.
Go ahead.
But dirt on Joe Biden is like Hillary Clinton's emails. You can't. It's considered a campaign finance contribution. And the argument that's been going around that I've seen, actually, to your point, is that it wasn't something of value. Like, can we really say that Ukraine is giving us something of value? But I would say yes. Of course, it's valuable. It would help him win re-election to be able to smear Joe Biden, just like he did with Hillary Clinton. Just like he'll try to do with any opponent that he comes across, right? And in fact, we actually know exactly how valuable it is to Trump. We know it's worth at least $400 million because that's the amount of aid that he cut off to Ukraine in order to get this information.
Mm-hmm.
So.
Which Joe Biden also advocated to cut aid to Ukraine when the prosecutor was going to reveal the corruption within his family.
I'm not sure all of what happened with Joe Biden, but I'm not. It does not surprise me at all. I mean, we know these politicians are corrupt. We know that they do these things. It doesn't. Of all cases for the news to really focus on, this is probably one of the worst for the Democratic establishment that did want to push Joe Biden and those conservative fiscal policies.
So I guess my question would ultimately be like, why now and why Trump? Why on this issue? Why not on something like violating the campaign finance laws? Why, instead of an actual substantive issue, do you not go after Donald Trump why not also go after Barack? And this isn't a whataboutism or an attempt to deflect of the issue, but I'm doing it to demonstrate and shine a light on why exactly this is happening. So why not on Obama? Why not when Obama killed a 16-year-old U.S. citizen abroad without fair trial or due process? Why not when, Obama? I'm sorry.
Now we are getting to whataboutism.
No. Let me finish my point. I promise you, it's not really a whataboutism as it is as much about why not them, because, and I'm sorry, I just lost my train. I just Joe Biden for a second.
No, that's okay. You did good. Let her have a comeback.
I'll let her have it, and then I'll finish my thought. Yeah, because I just remembered.
What do you?
Oh well, so what I was saying is that this is a violation of campaign finance contribution because of the value of dirt on a political opponent, and in fact, if you use the presidential position to get it, this is what is considered a violation of campaign finance. And you know, you can say, why didn't Obama get targeted for it? Well, Obama wasn't blatantly going on a phone call.
With that factor, I don't think we should say that. I don't think we should bring up what about Obama.
Well, it's
what about.
I don't, you know,
I
here is the biggest fan.
But Mike, okay, so
it's I'm
going to say something. I think Jocelyn is right. I think Jocelyn is right with it being illegal, and I think he did break a law. And I do think there's one difference. I think it's kind of a crazy. I think it's almost whacked, like to where I'm like, is this for real? That now we're looking at the president called the Ukraine president to ask for dirt about the old president and vice president and his son in Ukraine. Like he's literally committing the same crime that he called about Joe Biden. So now when they go into this thing, it's like they've got both of them and they can all use whataboutism. And that's all this is going to be.
I get it. But I know whether or not it's illegal, and I would look further into that. But the thing is about the reason why I brought up Barack Obama and the NSA spying program or his criminal acts, which are impeachable, killing U.S. citizens and torture and all of these things that Obama and Bush did. Yeah,
go all the way back to
and Noam Chomsky even said if the Nuremberg laws were in place, that every post-war president would have been hanged. But that's not. I'm not bringing them up specifically to say, well, what about them? I'm bringing them up to show like the reason why they didn't get it and Donald Trump did is because the establishment Democrats needed a reason needed something to attack Donald Trump on that wasn't an policy-based issue. And I think that leading up to the 2020 election, and it will help him get reelected.
So that's what so now I'm wondering, now if it's illegal, if it's not, like
I think it's a distraction.
You are correct. Nobody knows for sure right now. And we won't know until the whole thing's done. But even if it is, impeachment doesn't mean you get kicked out, right?
Exactly. That's the good point too.
And he ran for a bunch of years after that and did tons of things.
Yeah. The only other presidents to really get like the impeachment, like I think Richard Nixon, there was Bill Clinton, there was Andrew Johnson. So, you have these people who were impeached, who never really, Richard Nixon left not because of the impeachment, but from what I believe, it was, he left, he resigned himself,
Well, yeah.
But, and then, Andrew Johnson and Bill Clinton's impeachment, they didn't succeed thoroughly. But the point, I think, is that this is proven to be a distraction because the establishment Democrats, it's party tribalism. They're doing it against Donald Trump, but they didn't do it against Obama. And I don't think they're doing it even on substance. It's a more honed in issue instead of actually, I think more serious crimes that Trump has committed, that I think if you wanted to get an attack out him there, that was that was more substantively related.
Okay, so now with the timing is an issue. What do you think, Jocelyn, what do you think about the fact that the mainstream media waves are going to be dominated for the next year with impeachment? And we got the 2020 elections. They should be dominated with the Green
Medicare for all,
and with this marching for climate and the for 2020, but we're not going to hear any of that. We're going to get impeached.
I will say this. We know that a lot of Joe Biden voters, or at least I would suspect a lot of Joe Biden voters, are low information voters.
Absolutely, no disagreement.
And you have to think. Okay, so you have to think of it. I would still for marketing, so this is what I think about all the time is what's the most watched news network? And it's not CNN, it's not MSNBC who are going to be defending Joe Biden. It's going to be Fox News. And the Fox News watchers, the people who put it on every day and just have it running in the background, you hear about these things. Joe Biden's name is going to get out and is not going to. And those voters are not going to want to come out and vote for him. Negative campaigns and attack ads only suppress voter turnout. And if Joe Biden's voters fail to turn out, or if they decide that they don't want anything to do with nonsense and go to someone else, we all know who their second choice, usually is, you know?
So
You haven't even heard of Elizabeth Warren, you know?
Right. Okay. So that's what brings great segue. What if this is the end of Joe? His time is up, like it is now. No,
and I agree with Justin.
Joe's done, dude. There's no way they're going to be backing Joe anymore.
I think that this impeachment couldn't have come at a better time for that because he's not the nominee. Thank God. Like, imagine if this was going on after we had already gotten
the primary.
You know?
Right. Well, Elizabeth Warren and Bernie Sanders are probably sitting there like, yeah.
I know. I'm stoked about
Look at this. They're both going down.
I watched SNL the other night, but there's like a meme of Kamala Harris going, "Oh no, not Joe Biden, no."
Yeah. Yeah, exactly. She's through too, though. I don't think she can make a comeback. I think it's going to be. I think we got a huge battle with Warren and Elizabeth.
I don't personally think you need the impeachment to take down Joe Biden. I think he's doing that pretty well on his own. But I will say you are 100% right on.
His numbers have remained consistent.
They've been dropping. They've been dropping significantly.